If you hear the fence rattle, lock every door. You've got 60 seconds. I moved to Garver's Hollow last August, hoping for a fresh start. The town was quiet, almost eerily so, the kind of place where the only sounds after sundown are the hum of porch lights and the creak of old wood shifting in the cold. I found a rundown cabin on the edge of town for dirt cheap, backed by a thin tree line and a crooked old fence that sagged in the middle like it was bowing to something no one wanted to name. The real estate agent said it was quaint. The plumbing was bad and the roof had issues, but after the hell of my divorce and the slow-burning crash of my writing career, it felt like a sanctuary. Peace was worth a little mold. On my first night, I was greeted by a woman named May who lived 2 houses down. She looked like someone who hadn't slept well in 20 years, and when she smiled, it didn't quite reach her eyes. She gave me a dish of cornbread wrapped in foil and handed me a single sheet of yellowing paper. "You need to know this," she said quietly. "If you hear the back fence rattle after dark, you drop everything and lock up. Every window. Every door. You'll have 60 seconds. Count them out loud. He hears it when you don't." I thought it was a prank, some local superstition she passed to every newcomer, like a weird town hazing ritual. But she didn't laugh. Her hand gripped mine for just a second too long, like she was trying to press the warning into my skin. I didn't think about it again until about 3 weeks later. It was just after 9:30 p.m. when Oscar, my old Labrador, started whining near the back window. He doesn't usually make noise unless something's wrong. I muted the TV, and that's when I heard it, soft, rhythmic tapping, followed by a harsh clack. It sounded like the fence was shifting, like something heavy was moving along it slowly, dragging metal against wood. There was no wind. I stepped closer to the kitchen and froze. There it was again. Clack, clack, creak, like nails tapping against aged boards. I remembered May's words, stupid as they sounded. I looked at the clock. 9:47 p.m. I didn't hesitate. I counted. 1, 2, 3. I bolted to the front door, turned the lock. 4, 5, 6. I ran to the windows, yanked the curtains shut, locked them, checked them twice. My voice was shaking by the time I hit 40, shouting into the air like it would protect me. At 57, the last deadbolt slid into place. That's when I heard the porch groan. Slow, dragging footsteps moved across the planks outside. I didn't breathe. Oscar pressed against my leg, silent now, trembling. The steps stopped right outside the door, and something leaned against it. I could hear the creak of the wood, the wet sound of breath, and then something even worse, the voice. It sounded like me. Not similar, exactly like me. Same tone, same rasp, same hesitation. "Tom?" it said. "It's just you. I left something for you. Open the door." I didn't move. I didn't speak. The voice got softer. "It's okay. You're supposed to let me in." Eventually, the sound faded. The boards creaked one final time, and then silence. I didn't sleep that night. At sunrise, I found something on the front step, a piece of the fence, about 6 inches long, whittled into the shape of a finger. It was still warm. And beneath it, something scratched into the wood with claws or nails. 56. I don't know what would have happened if I'd been 4 seconds late. I didn't want to find out. I went to May the next morning. She didn't say "I told you so." She didn't look surprised. She simply poured me tea, sat me down, and told me about the Rattleman. That's what they call him. No one knows what he is, not a ghost, not a man, not something with a face you want to remember. He shows up when you forget. When you stop respecting the warning. Some say he was born from the woods themselves, others think he's been here longer than the town. The fence, May explained, wasn't just old property line, it was a boundary. A seal. But it only works if we play by the rules. If someone ignores the rattle, opens a window, or, God forbid, answers the door, he comes inside. And once he's inside, he doesn't leave. Not until there's nothing of you left to remember. She said people go missing here more often than anyone admits. But their houses never look disturbed. They're just empty, clean, preserved. Like a museum of someone who never existed. I asked her why no one talks about it. Why not post signs? File reports? Warn travelers? She stared at me and said, "Because he listens. The more you talk about him, the more doors he learns to knock on." I've lived here almost a year now. The rattle comes more often. Sometimes I swear it's baiting me, coming earlier, softer, like it wants me to forget. But I never do. I count out loud. I lock every door. Oscar and I sit in the center of the house and wait for it to pass. Sometimes he whispers now. Not just as me. Sometimes he sounds like my dad, or my ex-wife. Once, it was my mother, asking to be let in from the cold. That night, he stayed outside for 3 hours. I counted every minute. So here's what I'll leave you with: if you ever move somewhere quiet, where the land feels old and the fence is older, ask about them. If someone gives you rules that sound insane, write them down. Memorize them. Because the thing outside my fence doesn't knock like a monster. It whispers like someone you trust. And if you're not ready, if you don't move fast enough, he won't take you like a thief. He'll make you open the door. And when you do, you won't even know you did it. That's what May told me the next time I asked her what happens if someone slips. She didn't say they die. She didn't say they vanish. She said, they open the door. And then something else closes it. I didn't understand until it happened to the man 2 houses down, Clay. He was a handyman, quiet but friendly. Always had a dog with him, a scruffy shepherd mix that barked at everyone except me and Oscar. Then one morning, his gate was swinging open in the breeze, and the lights in his house were still on, even though the power was out across the whole block. Oscar and I walked over. The door wasn't locked. Inside was Clay's living room, perfectly tidy except for one thing: on the kitchen table was a shoebox. Inside the shoebox was a fresh tooth. A canine. Human. Wrapped in a strip of shirt I recognized, Clay's red flannel. No blood. Just that one tooth. And beside it, a piece of the fence again, carved this time into a key. A key with no teeth, no grooves, just the shape of one. When I backed out of the house, the air outside felt wrong. Off balance. Like the world had tilted 2 degrees. The trees in the yard leaned slightly, unnaturally, toward the back fence. And I swear, for just a second, I saw something tall and still behind the branches. Watching. Waiting. Like it knew I'd be next. I didn't sleep that night. The rattle started just before midnight. Oscar barked once, sharp, panicked, then whimpered and pressed himself into the back of the closet. I counted. 1, 2, 3. My voice cracked at 17. At 39, every light in the house blinked out. At 56, I heard my mother calling to me again, only this time, she didn't sound dead. She sounded real. Alive. Like she was downstairs. Crying. Apologizing. Telling me she never meant to leave. I kept counting. Loud. Even as my knees buckled and my throat started to close. At 60, everything went silent. Like someone vacuumed all the air out of the world. My ears rang. My nose bled. And in that silence, I swear I heard breathing, not from outside. From inside the walls. Steady. Calm. As though the house had been holding its breath too. Then it sighed. The next morning, there was a gift again. A note this time. Folded 4 times, tucked under the doormat. You're doing well. It's almost time. That's all it said. Almost time for what? May won't answer anymore. She won't open the door when I knock. Her windows are boarded shut. No lights. No sound. The neighbors pretend she never existed. And when I mentioned her to the cashier at the gas station, he just looked confused and said that house had been abandoned for a decade. I even checked town records. May's name isn't on anything. It's like the house, the fence, this entire corner of town, like it all rewrites itself as you fall deeper in. People don't disappear here, they're erased. Now the Rattleman doesn't just rattle the fence. He scratches at the windows, even when they're bricked up. I hear him in the vents. I hear him on phone calls, even ones I never made. Sometimes I wake up standing in front of the back door, hand on the handle, not remembering how I got there. And once, only once, the door was cracked open just an inch, letting in cold air that smelled like turned soil and wet wood. I nailed it shut. It splintered the next night. I don't know how long I have left. I've memorized the rules. I've followed them like scripture. But he's wearing me down. Making me hear things. See things. Believe things. And if I ever doubt for even 1 second what's real and what's him, I know I'll answer. Not because I want to, but because part of me already has. There's a voice in the back of my head now that doesn't sound like me. It whispers when I try to sleep. It hums lullabies I never learned. It counts with me when I hear the rattle, but it counts backwards. He's coming faster now. Nightly. And the fence is rotting from the center post outward, as if something on the other side is chewing its way through. Oscar no longer sleeps. He just watches the walls and growls low and constant. The air is colder. My mirrors don't show my reflection anymore, just the back of my head. My dreams have no color. And the gifts left at my doorstep are getting personal. Last night, I found a photo of myself. One I never took. In the picture, I'm standing at the fence. But my face is wrong. It's longer. Smiling too wide. And there's something standing beside me, just out of frame, a hand on my shoulder. Tonight, I'll hear the rattle again. I can already feel it in the walls, like a tremor building. And this time, he won't knock. He won't whisper. He'll just wait. Because he knows what I don't want to admit. Even with the rules, even with the locks. I'll open the door eventually. Everyone does.